vegan cheese. It's gotten better. I'll say that. But that's about as generous as I'll be. There's more variety than there used to be. But if I'm trying to please a non-vegan culinarily, I'm not putting store-brand vegan cheese on stuff. This is not because it is processed. If you don't want to eat vegan cheese for that reason, that's fine. But I am a chemicals vegan. I don't care if it came out of the ground or if it was synthesized in a lab. If it's not an animal product, I'll probably eat it. The reason I'm not sharing vegan cheese with omnivores is because it tastes weird. I'm used to it after 10 years of it. I like it now. But it was not a selling point by any means. Of all the innovation in the veggie department, all the fake meat that makes me feel like I've broken a rule because it's so realistic, vegan cheese is not there yet. And that's okay. But if you want vegan cheese that is there, vegan cheese you'd be proud to put on a pizza and share with the world. It takes over 24 hours and a bunch of weird ingredients that you probably don't have on hand, but you can do that. And we're going to do it together today. I know this is not my usual, approachable, do whatever you want formula cooking. It is, however, the result of a passion project in which I spent basically a full year trying to recreate the perfect vegan pizza. Because in my 10 years of being vegan, I felt like I had the vegan version of like every other indulgent food that recreated the experience for me in a satisfying way. But the pizzas were just missing something. That sinful, greasy, weirdly horny je ne sais quoi of a real pizza. The closest I've come to experiencing the real thing is the pizza at Saragina in Brooklyn. And the thing that is magic about that pizza is that it has actual cultured cashew cheese on it. The funk does not come from an attempt to imitate the funk of real cheese with other flavors. The funk comes from within. The extent to which it tasted like real cheese was frightening, and I had to do the thing where you're like, I'm sorry to ask, I don't want to be annoying, but like, is this real cheese? I haven't had real cheese in a really long time and it's gonna hurt my tummy if it's real cheese. I'm so sorry to ask though. On top of the veganism, I am also deeply lactose intolerant. So I wanted to figure out how to make that cheese, but I also wanted my perfect pizza to have pepperoni on it, because I feel like the whole thing about an insanely indulgent pizza is that you need pepperoni to cook into their own little perfect cups of oil. And so I spent a year doing that. I have a whole zine about the process and the trials and the tribulations and the mold that occurred, and it is called Curds and Slay. I have like 4 copies left if you want to read about all the bad pizzas that I made, but we're gonna skip to the end right now and make the cheese. So you don't really need to. So this is how you culture your own non-dairy cheese in your house that tastes pretty indistinguishable from the real thing, according to a bunch of people who have eaten real cheese in the last 10 years that I made taste test it. And it melts, and if you put it on a pizza, you feel like a higher power is disappointed in you for having eaten it. And that's what life and also what pizza is all about. We begin with cashews, a cup of them. You have to soak them. The soak is important. The soak is not skippable. If you don't soak them long enough, you're gonna have gritty cheese. I tried to get around this by boiling them. It doesn't work. Let them soak overnight like a full 12 hours. They should be visibly bigger and almost squishy. Once your cashews are properly soaked, blend them with a 1.5 cups of water until it is nice and smooth. Intuitively, it might seem like this should be cashew cream texture, but what you are going for is like thick cashew milk. It's going to be more watery than you're expecting it to be for it to turn into cheese. We're going to add thickeners later, don't be too worried. And then into your thick cashew milk, you're going to mix a teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of olive oil, a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, and the innards of 1 probiotic capsule containing lactic acid bacillus. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, sorry. 2 notes on the probiotic. 1, don't just pick up any old probiotic. You specifically want it to be one containing the strain lactic acid bacillus. You can culture with lots of probiotics, but that strain is going to give you a distinctly cheesy flavor. And 2, there are some probiotics that contain this strain that are not vegan. So if that matters to you, you'll want to look for one that is. If that doesn't matter to you, I can't possibly imagine why you'd be making this cheese, but maybe that's one of you. You're going to mix all that together, and then you're going to put 1 more sprinkle of salt on the top to prevent mold, and then seal this concoction in something airtight for 24 hours. I put it in the pantry for some temperature control. You're going to want it warm enough that the funk can happen, but not so warm that you get a bunch of mold. So don't put it on the windowsill directly in the sun. 24 hours later, open that container up. You should have something that smells distinctly cheesy. It may smell a little yeasty. If it's like overflowing its container with yeast and bubbles, you don't want that. And you also don't want visible mold, which happened to me when I tried a 48-hour culture during a heat wave. If you don't have that, you are now going to whisk in a thumb of miso, a half tablespoon of carrageenan powder, a quarter teaspoon of xanthan gum, 3 tablespoons of tapioca flour, and a final sprinkle of salt. The miso is for flavor, and the other things are thickeners that will give us our cheese-like texture. Once that's all mixed together, get a big bowl out and fill it with salty ice water. It's a little brine for your little cheese. Once the bowl is prepared, you're going to take your cheese mixture, you're going to put it in the pot, and you're going to whisk it on low-medium heat until you start to get something that looks like the inside of a mozzarella stick. You need to be whisking it constantly. It takes like a good 5 minutes. Your hand's going to cramp, it's fine. It's going to look thick and glossy, and when you pick your whisk up, you want a little bit of cheese to hang down. Once we are at that point, you're going to take your cheese off the heat and then spoon little globs of it directly into the brine, and they're going to immediately solidify into little globs of mozzarella. It's like magic. They taste like mozzarella. They melt like mozzarella. Once you've gone from goop to glob, it's time to make your pizza. I don't have a lot of wisdom when it comes to the other parts of the pizza. I received dough and sauce as a gift from Pizza Shack Max in Philadelphia mentioned. But I will say that if you want your pizza to taste like it came from a restaurant, the best thing you can do is put a lot of oil on it. That's the trick, really. Get that fancy little squeezy olive oil and also, if you're a pepperoni guy like me, you can make seitan pepperoni. You can buy them at the store. Whatever you do, I suggest frying them off in a little chili oil first, and then even perhaps putting some more on. It really gives you that real pepperoni cup of oil sensation. And here we have her, my pizza.
Hello. I have personally had Anna's homemade vegan cheese on a pizza, and as a real cheese eater, I can attest to the fact that it is in fact very good.
If these little science experiments are of interest to you, if you want to make some vegan cheese of your own, there's a very helpful vegan cheese making subreddit that I will link. There's people on there who have like a refrigerated cheese cave and they're aging French concoctions. There's also a bunch of other culturing methods you could try that don't use probiotic capsules. You can use yogurt. You can sprout quinoa and make something called Rejuvelac, or maybe you can't. I don't know. I tried so many times to no avail, but maybe it'll work for you. And I will also link the Artisan Vegan Cheese Cookbook by the Miyoko of Miyoko's Creamery, the best store-bought vegan cheese. Her basic mozzarella was my starting point, and I went forth from there. My heart is open to another lengthy perfecting project. So if you have a food you desperately want veganized, let me know. I'll give it a try. I kind of want to figure out a fried egg. I think that would be fun. But if you have ideas, I will take them. Okay, bye.